Mr. McClellan. Thank you for being patient here. I want to go ahead with the next part of the presentation. So, next part of the presentation, we'll talk about principle 5 and 6. So, the fifth principle, it's okay to be confused. With that, I mean, right, we've talked about engaging poetry takes time. We don't cultivate listening in our normal life. Right? And the English language has changed, right? So there's times when Shakespeare is very much incomprehensible. That's not often, but there is sometimes. Okay, principle 6, okay, you can understand more than you think. So there's a little bit of kind of an irony here. You can be confused, but you can also understand more than you think. So to show you that, I'm going to show you little Theo as a demonstration. So go to Theo here. Theo will teach us.
To be. Or not to be.
Or not to be.
Okay. To be or not to be. Say it.
To be.
Or not to be.
Or not to be.
That is the question.
Yeah.
That is the question.
Yeah.
I know it's... Say to be or not to be. That is the question.
Yeah, it is.
That is the question. Can you say that is the question?
I is the question.
That's right. So you go to be
To be.
or not to be.
Or not to be.
That is the question.
That is the question.
Yes.
I like that.
That's good. That's good. To be or not to be. That is the question.
Yeah.
Yeah, say it. You say it. To be.
Or not to be. That is the
Question. That's very good.
And this is so
Yeah. You want to know some more?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I love that video clip. Great demonstration, a little bit of kind of a childlike wonder with Shakespeare, but also, you know, they're speaking it out loud, and that's how Shakespeare is conveyed. Now, you know, even the child here can understand, and sometimes a child is a better image of understanding maybe than the adult when it even comes to Shakespeare. We have to make ourselves like kids again, okay? And I'll talk more about that. So, kind of connecting that back to, that actually leads into principle 7. So, be humble. Previous video also demonstrated principle 7. If we approach Shakespeare with humility, we can learn like Theo. More specific guidelines to being humble. Assume Shakespeare is smarter than you, okay, because he is. Assume his characters are smarter than you. Okay? So I'm talking from personal experience here, but often I've gotten very upset or annoyed with them. Why are they speaking? Why are they talking so long? Why are they using this language? I have those frustrations reading Shakespeare. Okay? And I have to remind myself, okay, I know there's a reason here for it. Okay? I know Shakespeare's smart, and I know his characters are intelligent. Okay? So I need to try to figure out the puzzle here and work through it. And sometimes I can figure out the puzzle very much on my own, more than I thought. Other times I might have to get a little bit of help, look at a few resources. And then other times I keep researching and I can't find it, and I'm like, whoa, this is like something that's really, you know, maybe there's a few people that understand it. I don't know. Okay? And then I might find no one has an agreement on what this is exactly, and we're all kind of confused. Okay? So this thing is, it's a puzzle, and we're trying to figure it out sometimes. Okay? But the thing is, in the process, we got to remain humble, okay, to go after and understand Shakespeare. Okay, next part. So moving forward. Sorry. Okay, did we skip principle 8? Yeah, skip principle 8. Okay. So principle 8, wit. Elizabethans placed a high value on wit. Wit is about creating a chain of thoughts and then using language to unpack those thoughts. So how does wit help us with engaging Shakespeare? Let the structure, chain of thoughts, guide your reading. And number 2, we may not be able to get the chain of thoughts. Consequently, do not assume Shakespeare's wit is dull. Us modern folks are the dimwits. So this is kind of going back to the previous point. But we may not know always why, what's exactly going on there. And that does happen sometimes. And that's the same thing, actually, we see a lot of times when we read something like Genesis. There's parts of the things in Genesis I've read biblical scholars talk about, they say, this is something we may not understand. This may be something that, in 50 years, someone might dig up a different manuscript or something that helps us understand it new. And wow, now we know what maybe they were referring to. Okay? But some of the context has obviously been very outdated, and that does happen. Now, that's not related to all the Bible, but I think specifically when you're talking about something like Genesis, which is the Old Testament of the Old Testament. Okay. Right, next thing. Oh, this presentation is wanting to move slow. Okay, 'tis time to apply principles 5 and 8. Okay, so refer to notes on Sonnet 12. So I'm going to move to there. Okay, and I'm going to pull that up. Okay, and so in our packet you have page 2 there. Okay, we already looked at that. Okay, we looked at page 3. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go down to page 4. So page 4, okay, you have Sonnet 12. What I want you to know, applying the principles I just talked about. Okay, I come to Sonnet 12. I remember reading this the first time. I got to the end, and I said, I don't get it. And I read it again, and I was like, I don't really get it. Okay? Now, I remember first reading that, okay, and I wasn't that great of a reader of Shakespeare, and I feel like, oh, I'm confused. I was like, oh, whatever. I'll just put it down and get rid of it. Okay? But I had some good teachers along the way kind of encourage me. One of them said, hey, give it a chance, And I read it again. Wait, I was like, I think I get something. Right? And I think I get something. So that's what happens here. So, right? Now, what I'm going to tell you and show you, as I told you about wit, and specifically the idea of a chain of thoughts. Well, to help you understand Shakespeare, one of the best things is to look at the chain of thoughts to help you understand what's exactly being said. So I may not understand everything in the sonnet, but, well, what do I know about a sonnet? Okay? Well, I know a sonnet has 14 lines in iambic pentameter. It's going to be broken into 3 quatrains and a rhyming couplet. Okay? So with that said, okay, I come to, okay, here, I know I can make a division, okay, after the 4th line. Why? Because this is the 1st quatrain. Okay? This is 2nd quatrain. This is 3rd quatrain. And then I have a rhyming couplet. Okay? So I'm going to scroll kind of ahead here just to show you briefly what I mean. But remember, okay, this is for you guys on page 6. Okay? You can fill this out. But how do we define a sonnet? 14 lines in iambic pentameter. So Shakespearean sonnet. Okay? Well, what's that mean? Well, it means it follows a very rigid structure. Okay? So that structure has 3 quatrains. Okay? Quatrain just means, okay, a group of 4 lines around together. It's like saying these 4 lines are a paragraph, okay, in a rhyming couplet. So quatrain is 4 lines, rhyming couplet is 2 lines. So overall structure should be, okay, A, B, A, B, C, D, C, D, E, F, E, F, G, G. Okay, now I will talk more about what that means. That's referring to something which you should write in the margins, maybe over here, called end rhyme. Okay, end rhyme. Now, with rhythm, okay, it follows iambic. So I'm not too concerned with that. We're not going to get too much in it. But typically Shakespeare uses iambic, but it's soft, but light, through yawn, through wind, through breaks. Okay? So it's this kind of repetition of da-dum, 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 unstressed and stressed. Now most people refer to it as the chant or gallop or heartbeat of Shakespeare. Okay? Now, going forward, here is maybe the most important, and I didn't put a circle around this, but I would circle or highlight number 3. But in a Shakespearean sonnet, the 1st quatrain gives introductory information. The 2nd quatrain elaborates the details given in the 1st. 3rd quatrain introduces conflict and shifts in tone or setting. The rhyming couplet at the end concludes the poem. So, okay, the structure reveals and helps you understand what is being said. Okay, so I'll show that in just a second. Okay, this is another one. This is a Star Wars rewritten as a sonnet. And these are what we call the end rhyme, right? War, okay, swift, adrift, war, over. Okay, it's not a perfect one there. You have sometimes imperfect end rhymes, and that's fine. Okay, so going back up to our kind of an example here, okay, this